A friend of the show, Evan Filarca, asks, the prequel novel of hashtag Spider-Man PS4 Hostile Takeover is said to feature characters like Echo and Blood Spider, along with the game being set in Marvel's New York. Will we see a medium or large amount of references to the wider Marvel universe? Avengers Project? ?
Well, I'll say to Evan, and hi Evan and the Spidey Squad, I will say that this is a Marvel New York City. Just think about that.
Thank you very much for answering my question, Brian. Anyways, welcome back, true believers and all you spectacular Spidey fans, to another Spider-Man PS4 101 episode. So in case you guys didn't know, today on April 27th is a very big day for Marvel because 1, Avengers Infinity War just came out in theaters, which is extremely cool, and 2, this is the last day of the Spider-Man PS4 coverage from Game Informer. And to end their awesome coverage this April, they finished off with an awesome Q&A video with Brian Intihar. And clearly, as you guys saw, not only did they ask their own personal questions that they have about the game, but they also asked fans questions that they have about the game as well. And throughout this half an hour long video, we actually got really interesting answers to some of the questions that were asked. And I'll be pointing out the most interesting ones. So first off is the alternate suits in the game. So we do know, of course, that you can craft alternate suits in the game, but we don't necessarily know how we can equip them when playing. And in the Q&A, Brian confirms that we will just simply be choosing them in the pause menu. So some people were thinking that maybe we could go into Peter's apartment and switch the suits, or maybe go to where Peter works and make the suits, but Brian just clearly says we're going to be able to choose the suits in the pause menu. So that's really interesting. So next up is the confirmation of no Peter Parker free roaming. So this was a discussion that we've had back and forth, and something that a lot of Spider-Man fans, including myself, have actually wanted to see in a Spider-Man game for a long time, is the ability to free roam around New York City as Peter Parker. But Insomniac have said beforehand that we will only be playing certain sections of the game as Peter, but it was never officially confirmed that we could free roam as him. But in this interview with Brian Intihar, it is officially confirmed that there will be no free roaming in the game as Peter. And I think that's fine with me, since we're going to get a lot of sections in the game to play as Peter, and the free roaming itself as Spider-Man is going to be one heck of a great time, so I think I can deal with no Peter Parker free roaming. So next up is actually the confirmation that the inner demons are more challenging than the standard thugs. So what we've seen in the past footage with the inner demons, they have the ability to charge up negative energy to try and fight Spider-Man, and Brian actually says given that they have those powers, they're going to be more difficult to fight than your standard thugs in the game. And Brian specifically says that players are going to have to rethink their strategy when fighting these enemies, so that way they can get the drop on them easier. And that goes, if you read the Game Informer, there's confirmation already that there's going to be enemies with shields, heavy enemies, enemies with guns. There's going to be a lot of variety when fighting people in the game, and I'm just really excited to see what the inner demons are going to look like and fight like in the game itself. So next up is a question relating to how much of New York City can we explore in the game, and someone asked relating to can we visit the Liberty Island, Queens, or Brooklyn, but Brian confirmed that we will only be able to explore the main island of Manhattan. Now there has been the confirmation that we can explore different districts within New York City like Hell's Kitchen and Chinatown, but the game itself is not going to be able to explore in Brooklyn or Queens. And I think that's fine, given that the main size of Manhattan itself is 4 to 6 times bigger than Sunset Overdrive's map. I think this map is going to be huge regardless, so I'm not worried about that at all. Now next up is the biggest topic that was discussed about in this Q&A video, is the confirmation that fall damage is not going to be in Spider-Man PS4. So people have obviously gone back and forth whether or not we want fall damage or no fall damage in the game, but Brian said that we want to feel like people can be the superhero they want to be, and he thought that fall damage would be best to not be put in this game. And he goes on to further saying that there is not an option to choose fall damage or no fall damage. There is just 100% no fall damage in the game. And I'm not too sure how I feel about that just yet. I think given how both the Amazing Spider-Man games had no fall damage, but the swinging and momentum that you could do in those games was really fun, I think I'll be okay with no fall damage. Plus, if you're able to swing stylishly in the game itself with the zipping and the main swinging, I think you'll have the immersion of fall damage, but not really having it in the game itself. Plus, if you're a skilled Spider-Man player, being able to web zip and web swing throughout the city, I don't think fall damage would be that big of a problem for us. But still, let me know all your thoughts in the comments about what you think about no fall damage in the game. And that also goes with another interesting point that Brian brings up about a certain upgrade that you can get when swinging in the game. So even though there's no fall damage in the game, he says that if you press X at the last second before hitting the ground, Spider-Man will be able to spring up with a certain amount of webs and go back into swinging in a really fast-paced way. And that really reminds me of the launch mechanic that was in Spider-Man Web of Shadows, where you could launch either up or forward with awesome web maneuvers, and I really think that that's going to be used in a really cool way in this game. And I'm just really excited to see what other types of upgrades there's going to be for the web swinging in this game. So next up is relating to Marvel's New York. Now, like, my question was asking about the wider scope of the Marvel Universe, since we're going to have characters like Echo and Blood Spider in this game. Brian actually confirms that the Baxter building is not going to be in Spider-Man PS4. And that was a certain theory that was going around, since this is in fact a Marvel's New York and there's going to be tons of references to other superheroes. There was a theory that Peter's scientist job could be at the Baxter building. But since Brian confirms that it's not going to be in the game, Peter's going to be working somewhere else, which is really interesting to me. And again, that could be either at Horizon Labs or Oscorp Industries, but still, we'll just wait and see. Now, next up is relating to the side missions of the game. So someone asked a really good question about what can we do in the city after we beat the main story in the game. And Brian goes on to saying that you can complete other missions that you have not finished yet in the main city. So it's good to know that there's going to be other stuff to keep you occupied when playing the game, but I really hope that that means that there are unlimited crimes in the game as well. And given the things we've already seen in the game, like collecting Peter Parker's backpacks and fighting thugs on top of Fisk buildings, I do hope that those will be a long process, but I think the unlimited crime should be in the game as well to give players a lot of replayability. But still, we'll just wait and see what Insomniac does on that front. Now, another really interesting question that someone brought up is, are we able to do loop-de-loops in Spider-Man PS4 when web swinging? And Brian said that mechanic is not in the game. And I think that's fine with me. The only Spider-Man games that have had the loop-de-loop in it is actually Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 3, and Spider-Man Web of Shadows. But given how intricate the web swinging is in this game, and given all the maneuvers you can use like web zipping, wall running, parkouring, and web swinging, I think there's going to be a lot of variety when traversing around the city. So there being no loop-de-loops in this game is fine with me. Now, another really important point which I'm super happy about is that Brian did confirm that there will be difficulty settings in the game. Now, some Spider-Man games have had it in the past where the difficulty is just at a default setting, but it's great to know that it is now confirmed that there's different settings that you can choose in the game for difficulties. And I know for a fact, as you guys know me, I love playing all the games that I play on hard mode, so I'm definitely going to be playing Spider-Man PS4 on the hardest difficulty possible. Now, next up is something that we were expecting for a while, but it's nice to actually have official confirmation of it, is that there will be a character database in Spider-Man PS4. So for example, in the Batman Arkham games, there were sections where you could go and look through different profiles of all the characters in the game, and it's nice to know that Spider-Man PS4 is going to have just that. And I know for a fact I can't wait to go into full depth and detail about all these characters' backgrounds within Spider-Man PS4's universe. Now, moving to the end of this Q&A section is actually a really interesting point about the suit crafting in the game. Now, Brian brought up in the interview that they're still working on what this should possibly be, but it basically sounds like we're going to be collecting certain tokens in the city to help upgrade Spider-Man's suits and craft different suits as well. Now, of course, if you're a super hardcore Spider-Man fan like me, you'll know in all the previous Spider-Man games there's always been collectibles in the city that you can collect, and basically a lot of them have been tokens in the past. And if this is another collectible that we are going to be obtaining in this game in order to craft certain suits, I think that's going to be really interesting to see be played out. But as Brian said, that's not the final choice on what that property is going to be in the game, so we'll just wait and see what it's actually going to end up being in the final product. But still, tokens do sound really cool to me, so I wouldn't be too upset if they kept that in there. So the second to last interesting point is about the podcast that J. Jonah Jameson has in the game called Just the Facts with J. Jonah Jameson. And if you saw the Game Informer video about the little touches of Spider-Man, you will know that JJ has this podcast in the game, but Brian actually confirmed that we were able to listen to it at any time in the game. He does say that some parts of the game is that they are scripted moments of this podcast playing, but other moments could just happen at random when swinging through the city, so that's really cool to know. And that's just going to be another awesome detail that Insomniac is putting thoroughly within this New York City of the game. And I know I can't wait to just swing around and listen to JJ talking in the background, because that's going to be hilarious. So the final point to bring up, everybody, is that Brian confirmed that we will not be getting the reveal of what the Collector's Edition statue is at E3 for Spider-Man PS4's Collector's Edition. So of course, as you guys know, in the Collector's Edition, you get a statue of Spider-Man standing on top of something labeled Raft. And it's said that this statue is going to be revealed sometime in summer of 2018. And some of us, myself included, thought that that meant that we're going to get a reveal of what it is at E3, but Brian actually said that that's not the case. So maybe we'll have to wait sometime at San Diego Comic-Con to get a reveal of what it is, but I'm still really looking forward to what it's going to be. And speaking of E3, they are confirmed to be going to E3 as well, so don't worry, even though the ending of April is the end of the Spider-Man PS4 coverage from Game Informer, definitely expect some update of Spider-Man PS4 at E3. And keep in mind, Spidey Squad, that I'm going to be attending E3 this year as well, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what Spider-Man PS4 footage is going to be shown off there, and hopefully run into all the other Insomniacs there as well. But anyways, guys, that's all the news I have for you today. I think this whole month of April has been an amazing experience from Game Informer and Insomniac, and I just loved every single second of it. And I know for a fact I can't wait to see what Insomniac shows next for Spider-Man PS4. But anyways, guys, let me know all your thoughts in the comments section down below about all this crazy news. What are your thoughts on no fall damage in the game, as well as all the other interesting tidbits that were brought up within this Q&A video? But anyways, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Stay spectacular, Spidey fans. Peace out.
One thing I've seen from everybody, I could not believe how often I saw this, is, so this question comes from everyone everywhere.
Can I guess it? Can I guess it?
Yeah, go for it.
Is it fall damage?
Yes, exactly.
Hell no.